Well, there were quite a few stories. Part of it was an aching from me that I really felt that I wanted to have a great song. I had hits before, but I didn't feel that I was writing on the level of creating what they call a copyright or an evergreen. And I felt that it was time for me to have that. And fortunately, I got a record deal, and I was working with four brilliant musicians that caused me to raise the bar in my writing. And my first album, which Rhinestone Cowboy was a part of, and I became a better writer because of it. But the story behind Rhinestone Cowboy, part of it was making what I just mentioned, and also part of it was remembering where I came from, where I started out in New York City on Broadway. That was the other part of it, and the feeling about that. And then the chorus kind of referred to my childhood cowboy heroes. Like I used to go to the movies as a kid and see Roy Rogers and Lash LaRue and Gene Autry and Tomic Brown and all those guys. And so they were kind of like Rhinestone Cowboys. They even had nothing to do with rhinestones, but that was the imagery that I used when I had the song in mind. Yeah, I started out in New York for about 7 or 8 years. I was in New York writing songs, getting a lot of songs recorded because it was much easier back then to do that because most singers didn't write their own songs. When the Beatles came along, it changed the whole scope of things for the world. I wrote quite a few hits with Scott English. He's great, very, very interesting lyricist. Scott and I met in the Brill Building and Tin Pan Alley Building in 1965. He was selling Xerox paper door to door, and he showed me some lyrics and poetry, and I really liked his style. So we began to write, and we wound up writing Bend Me, Shape Me for the American Breed and the A-Man Corner, and then we wrote Help Me Girl for Eric Burden and the Animals. But the funniest song we wrote, and I really had to make him finish the lyric, was Hi Ho Silver Lining, because it was just a goofy song, you know. And I bumped into Robert Plant about a year or so ago. I met him, and he told me that song has become like one of the biggest soccer themes in the UK. And I went on YouTube, and I was laughing my ass off because here I'm seeing 100,000 people singing "Flies Are in Your Pea Suit, Baby," and they're waving at me, and I'm saying, what does this have to do with football? It was just, it's really a great honor to have morphed into that. And then I moved to Los Angeles, and I wrote Rhinestone Cowboy in Los Angeles as a reflection upon where I'd come from in New York. And that was it. I'm very grateful for Rhinestone Cowboy because I consider myself really fortunate because I didn't realize it was such a popular phrase because really Manuel had created the imagery of the Rhinestone Cowboy way before I wrote it. And I was lucky that everybody turned the song down after my version came out, except for Glenn Campbell, who was a Southerner and kind of put his stamp on it and gave it credibility as a Southern country phrase. Because if someone else like maybe Neil Diamond or well, maybe Elvis would have been nice too, but he turned it down. Who knows if it would have captured that or not. So I was very fortunate that it all kind of merged together. Manuel and I became friendly about 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago. I knew of him when I lived in Los Angeles when he was working for Nudie, but we started to talk more eye to eye instead of just passing each other at parties. You know, I always tried to say hello to him, but he's so surrounded with so many women, you know, it's hard to get through. But we finally started to talk and get to know each other a little bit. And then he had to go to Argentina. And I've always wanted to see Buenos Aires, and I kind of invited myself to tag along. And he said, sure. And I spent 2 weeks on it. We were actually bunkmates in the same room, different cities. And then we really got to know each other as a result of traveling so close. And it was a beautiful thing. He's just a great guy. He's one of the most optimistic people I've ever known in my life. And I really needed to hear that personally. It helped me a lot with my own personality. He gets up in the morning, he's singing straight into the bathroom. And when we were there, his sister, he went to see his sister and his brother-in-law on this particular trip, and his sister gets up, she's singing into the bathroom. His brother-in-law got up, he's whistling into the bathroom. I mean, I was brought up more melancholy. I think I called one of my friends, I said, I have to get out of here, it's too damn happy. So that actually really helped me an awful lot, and I think it kind of changed me a great deal. He's a great artist, and he never does the same thing twice. And he's a very interesting man. He has great philosophies and sayings and things that he was brought up with that he spreads around, that he kind of leaves with people to think about, and some of them could become epiphanies for people, you know? We've been working on a project for quite a while, and I believe there's going to be a hotel in Nashville called the Rhinestone Cowboy. It's going to be near Music Row. Manuel is going to be responsible for creating interior design work on fabric design, and it's going to honor country music, and we're very close to launching it.
Am I right, you're also working on a musical?
Yes, and believe it or not, it's also going to be called Rhinestone Cowboy. I really had a dream about that a long time ago, and I pictured Rhinestone Cowboy as a song in a musical, because it was so big and dramatic, and it spoke about what the protagonist wanted. He wanted to achieve something. It kind of sounded like a story that should be in a musical. And I had quite a few false starts over the years. I started alone. I didn't know really what I was doing. The structure of writing a story for the stage is quite different than writing a screenplay. It took me a long time, but 35 years till I got to this point, where actually I'm working now with a Tony-recognized director, writer, choreographer, Sammy Dallas Bays, and we've just finished our first draft, and we have a lot of interest. People want to step up with a checkbook, and we're going to workshop it, put it into a small theater, and hopefully Broadway will beckon us. There is one character in the show that becomes kind of like the Rhinestone Cowboy. I'm sure that outfit will be a Manuel outfit.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
There's got to be at least one costume in there.
That's right. That's right. The rest, I'm not sure, because I understand that a lot of clothing is they have storage places for period pieces, and in many shows. And mine's going to be a period piece of the 60s and 70s. So I'm not sure if it's going to be made new or we're going to look for clothes. I don't know that department of the musical.
Is there any other story of you and Manuel or anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think I could tell it on film, but I'm sure he has quite a few. I just can't think of anything I could say right now.